I'm 40 and I have $565,000 invested. Is that enough to retire? On one hand, we have Mr. Money Mustache, the pioneer of the financial independence retire early movement, who retired with $600,000. We have Dave Ramsey, who gives mainstream America the advice to have $1 million for retirement. Susie Orman broke the entire internet when she said $2 million is chump change. It's not enough. So what's the deal? How much do you actually need to save for retirement? This is for you if you want to be work optional and gain financial independence and you have no idea where to start. I'm going to go over exactly what the FIRE movement is and a simple formula for exactly how much you need to save for retirement. Spoiler, it has nothing to do with your age or even your income. I will share with you 4 ways to gain financial independence, and I will also share with you my numbers and retirement plan. I'm going to walk you through a hyper-specific example of someone who is just getting started with nothing saved at 35 and exactly how they can pay off $40K in debt and semi-retire by age 48. Bringing out the big ones on this one. They only earn a $60K income too. Why, hello, my yellow groupers. I'm Carly, a finance grad and the creator of Best Money Class Ever, where I teach how to pay off debt in 36 months or less, invest to retire a millionaire, and stress less about money. Grab a seat. I'm about to spill the financial tea. Are you ready for it? 500,000, 1 million, 2 million, 5 million. How much do you need to save for retirement? To understand and answer this question, we're going to start off with what exactly is the FIRE movement. FIRE stands for Financial Independence Retire Early. It is a movement that has taken over. The idea is to gain financial independence well before the age of 65 by living well below your means and investing the difference. The emphasis is on happiness over consumption, and the ultimate freedom is time freedom to choose how you spend your days and to do work that you love, not need. Quick question. How exactly do you define financial independence? I am really curious and I would love to hear from you, because a lot of times I ask people like, okay, you want to gain financial independence, but what does that actually mean to you? Me being a millennial girl over here, my mind automatically flashes to that rap old school song. You know the one, INDEPENDENT. Do you know what that means? She got her own house, her own job, work hard, 2 jobs. She a bad bra. What does financial independence actually mean to you? A lot of times I'll hear people in their answers will completely vary, from anything to like financial independence is paying off my credit cards, having no more student loans, being completely debt free. It's not living paycheck to paycheck. For some people, it's just having a stable income or 6 figures. Other people, it's the paid off mortgage. It's having that rainy day fund. You hear some people kind of dabbling into, well, it's having passive income or being able to do whatever you want whenever you want it. If you want to gain financial independence, the core part is you have to know exactly what financial independence is. So we are going to define that. Financial independence is when you have assets that generate an income to cover your expenses versus the income that you earn from your 9 to 5. This is a lot. Let's break it down. First off, what exactly is an asset? An asset is something that you own, like your savings or investments. So imagine when your money is actually earning you an income to pay for your expenses. When it comes to gaining financial independence and when can you retire, your age has absolutely nothing to do with it, and your income doesn't really matter as much as you think it does. So you can make $250,000, you can make $1 million a year, but if you have expenses of $1 million, you are not financially free. You need to show up to work to earn that income to cover your expenses. A study found that 1/3 of Americans that are earning $250,000 or more are living paycheck to paycheck. So the money comes in and then it boom goes out the door. Typically you have medical school debt, law school debt, you got your MBA, you're paying for this massive mortgage, you have fancy cars, kids are going to private school, and there's really no actual wealth being built. If you lost your job, all you have are bills. You are not financially independent. Why FIRE? Why gain financial independence and retire early? Especially if you're in a spot where you're like, retirement, I don't even know if I can retire at 65, much less retire early. And it kind of seems out of touch, out of reality. The reason why I want you to focus on financial independence, even if it's so far away, is because of something that's trending now. It's the great millennial career crisis. You may have seen this. It's going online and viral everywhere. This article kind of explains the basics of it. As a generation, we were told that if you go to school, get good grades, you'll get into a good career and make good income and kind of be set. But things just haven't gone exactly as we planned. The result is massive burnout and dissatisfaction. We're all kind of in this crisis mode, figuring out like, what are we going to do? This conversation hasn't really been paired with the financial independence retire early conversation, but I think it does need to be paired. The two go in one, in my opinion. I am the token millennial child for this crisis. I was the student body high school president, editor of the high school newspaper, captain of the varsity soccer team, graduated top of the class, got accepted into Macomb School of Business, which was the top business school in the nation, and then still life just kind of crumbled to pieces. A few years ago, I went through a horrible situation and had massive burnout where it wasn't like, oh my gosh, eat, pray, love, let me take a sabbatical. It was like, oh my gosh, I need to like press pause and get away. I share more of this story in episode 1 of the finance plan. I sold everything that I had and took a 1-month sabbatical in Hawaii. And then I ended up coming back to the States. I bought an RV with cash and an SUV to pull it. I think that the financial independence and the burnout thing need to be paired together, because a big objection of like financial independence, retire early is like, well, what am I going to do with my time? I'm going to be bored. Da, 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 da. There's this whole other piece of the conversation of financial independence isn't about like, I'm going to quit my job. It is also this factor of like life happens and things get hard, and maybe you want to do an exciting fun sabbatical, or maybe it's just like burnout or job loss or trauma. And so financial independence is for all aspects of life, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. So if you want to take a year or two off and have a baby, or if you want to leave a toxic boss, or if you're like me and you went through a hard thing and you needed to like press pause, financial independence is not really a luxury. It's something that we all can aim towards and achieve. And we're going to get into the 4 different ways to achieve financial independence, because it's not as big and scary and all that as you think it would be. And you don't need to earn a ton to gain a level of financial independence. The finance plan is this podcast, and it's a signature system that you can gain financial independence with your money. Financial independence, retire early, is about living on your terms. And I do believe in kind of a more fluid version of it with the finance plan, where you can take time off, do mini retirements, sabbaticals. The way that I view financial independence is the Benjamin Franklin ways. He retired from his printing press business at age 42. He was then able to have the freedom to choose a life focused on his passions versus a paycheck. He spent his time and energy on his interests, inventions, and science and public service to the country. How much do you need to save to retire? We are going to go over a very simple formula on how to calculate your nest egg for retirement. It is quite simple. You're going to take your annual expenses and multiply it by 25. Why multiply it by 25? Well, it's because of the 25 times and the 4% rule. Simply put, the 25 times rule is you will save 25 times the desired annual income that you want to take in retirement. And the 4% rule is circled and tied to this 25 times rule. So 4% is known as a safe withdrawal rate. It is the amount that you can safely withdraw from your nest egg when you are actually retiring, and you can live off of that money. There was a financial advisor who was super curious about, okay, how much can you safely withdraw from your nest egg without depleting your funds? And this was a famous study that was done by the advisor, William Bengen. He did a simulation and created fictional retirees who retired through the various different stages of Great Depression and hyperinflation and everything in between. He took the data points and found how much you can safely withdraw without depleting the fund. And the answer was 4%. This was with the fictional retiree that had a portfolio 50% in stocks and 50% in bonds. And recently, he's actually come out with new data saying that a 5% withdrawal might actually be closer to a safe amount. I'm going to stick with, in this example, the 4% though. Let's put this 4% and 25 times rule into practice. Let's say for a basic retirement, you want to live off of $40,000 in today's dollars. You take $40,000, multiply it by 25, that would be 1 million. 4% of 1 million is then 40,000. See how it like circles back? See what we're doing here? Let's say on the other hand, you want to have $100,000 in your retirement. You would then take 100,000, multiply by 25, and you'd have a nest egg that you would want to save 2.5 million. Then you would withdraw 4% of that, and then that would be $100,000 that you would live off of in retirement. Each year in retirement, you would adjust that amount for inflation. Keep in mind, this formula is your annual spending and what you live off of, not your actual income. And this is why when it comes to planning for retirement and gaining financial independence, I think that tracking your spending and expenses is so important, because if you have no idea how much your annual expenses are when it comes to retirement, you're just guessing. I highly recommend becoming chief financial officer and managing your money like a boss. The way that I manage my money and track my spending is I use financial statements. I freaking love financial statements. Your income statement shows your income and expenses, also known as a P&L or profit and loss statement. You want to have a profitable budget that you can actually automate. So I fill this in, and this is what I think is going to happen. And then to stay accountable, I track my actual inflows and outflows in the statement of cash flow. By the end of the year, I have an annual report, so I know exactly where my money went and exactly how much my needs are going to be in today's dollars when planning for the future for my retirement. By the way, if you want to get organized and focused with your money too, you can grab the financial day planner that I use. It's your all-in-one tool to plan for retirement, create the budget that you want to automate, and pay off the debt. You can grab your copy in the link below. It comes with a personal finance mini course. When it comes to planning for retirement, you have to know exactly how much your spending is and your annual costs are. And it is going to be lower than you think it would be. So for example, when you're calculating this number, you would take your gross income minus taxes, and then you'd also take minus what you're currently saving and investing, because when you're in retirement, you don't need to save for retirement anymore. And I also want you to deduct what you're paying in debt. When you are retired, in theory, you would not have debt. So what you would need to live off of would be significantly lower. This is also why I feel like a huge part in gaining financial independence is being debt free. For example, let's say you earn $150,000 a year. After taxes, that would be $112,000. Assuming that you invest 10%, that would be about $15,000 you are investing each year of your gross income. That would mean your annual cost of living would be $97,000. So $97,000 times 25, you would want a nest egg of just under $2.5 million. However, let's say that you are on a mission to pay off debt. You're like, I want to get rid of these student loans and car loans and all the things, and you commit to that. Let's say you were paying $1,500 a month between a student loan, car loan, and some credit cards. In a year, that would be $18,000. Once that is paid off, that would drastically reduce the amount that you need to save for retirement. In this case, your annual expenses would then be $79,000. So $79,000 times 25 is $1.975 million, which means that you need to save about $500,000 less by just getting rid of that debt and committing to being debt free, which is pretty cool. Let's go over 4 ways to gain financial independence and retire early. And I'm going to share these with my real numbers. There's Coast Fire, Lean Fire, Barista Fire, and Fat Fire. I'm thinking about doing deep dives on these, but for now, I'm just going to give you an overview of these 4 ways. The big goal that I set on national news is I want to have $1 million by 45. I currently have $565,000. I would need to invest about $2,500 a month to reach that goal. It's kind of a big goal, kind of a scary goal. I don't know if I'll actually make it. And the idea though behind it is my annual expenses right now are about $32,000. So typically you take $32,000 times 25. I do want to have a little bit of a buffer if I want to live more flush. So I'm going to do $40,000 times 25, which would be $1 million. Like many people though, in the financial independence retire early movement, a lot of times you keep working and doing passion projects. Like for me, I nerd out over personal finance. So I definitely want to grow this class and community podcast, but I want to have a lot of flexibility to take time off and travel and do fun stuff and enjoy life in the moment. First, let's talk about Coast Fire. Coast Fire is a very popular way to gain financial independence. What it is you invest a lot early enough where you reach a point you no longer have to invest anymore. You simply let your money work and grow for you. Compound interest does the heavy lifting. You have time on your side. The beauty of CoastFi is, again, you don't have to contribute anything more. So that means that you can take part-time work, pursue a passion project. You don't have to have the hundreds or thousands of dollars every single month in your budget going towards retirement. Therefore, you can spend guilt-free and enjoy life now while having that financial freedom in gaining full retirement at age 65. Or even earlier. Here we have my retirement calculator. It shows the current year, my age of 40, and it shows CoastFi if I stop investing this year right now and then have a full retirement age of 65. My total current retirement savings is $565. This will show the year-by-year forecast, assuming 8% interest earned. Historically, the stock market earns about 10%. I like to do a little bit more conservative with an 8% estimate. You'll see here year by year, come age 65, I will have $3.8 million in my retirement, which is pretty cool. Lean Fire is just like the name implies. It is a lean retirement. You are retiring when you reach 25 times a very low amount. Some people would consider my $1 million goal a lean fire number. For example, though, let's say that I retired with what I had right now, which would be super lean. I have $565,000. 4% of that would then mean I could safely withdraw $22,600 to live off of. That would be super lean, super tight, kind of crazy. And that's sort of closer to where the founding father of the early retirement, he retired with $600,000. That would be withdrawing about $24,000. I know you're like, that is nuts. How could people actually do that? In my case, I am completely debt free. I did have some very, very low cost years like that. If you don't know my story, I live full time in an RV. I am considering pulling back the curtains and going through year by year all of my net worth updates and those expenses along the way. But my lowest cost of living year was in 2020, right before inflation. When I lived in that RV, I spent under $17,000. I currently live in a regular living situation right now, but I still value minimalism and I like doing more with less. And I like the whole vibe of like, you can live large without spending a ton of money. Make sure and subscribe if that sounds like your vibe. Next up, we're going to talk about Barista Fire. And this is one that I really like. So Barista Fire, just kind of like the name implies, Barista Fire is where you withdraw 4% of your nest egg and then you have part-time work to supplement to get to your regular cost of living that you would like. For example, if my current annual expenses are $32,000, which they are, I outlined exactly what I spent in 2025, and I also outlined my forecast and budget for my annual expenses this year. You can check both of those out. For example, having annual expenses for everything. And when I say everything, last year I went on an Australia, New Zealand trip. I fully furnished this apartment whenever I moved out of my RV. So I truly do believe you can live large without spending a ton. And if you don't have those debt payments, life really isn't as expensive as you think it would be. In this case, we will take my $22,600 that I could safely withdraw from my nest egg. And then the difference would just be under $10,000. Technically, I do consider myself semi-retired. If in theory I wanted to do Barista Fire, I would only need $9,400 to maintain my flush lifestyle, which I totally don't feel like I'm depriving myself or anything like that. I feel like I'm doing everything that I want and desire and need to. I only need literally $9,400 to supplement what I would withdraw from my investments. Of course, the key here is all of my investments are not in standard retirement accounts. Again, we can do deeper dives on what these financial independence milestones look like, but I do have a standard 401k plan and then an IRA, and then I do have a taxable brokerage account, and that is what I would be able to withdraw and live off of. The fourth style of fire is Fat Fire. This is where you have a nest egg that supports an income of 100k or more. So therefore you take 100k times 25, you'd want to have 2.5 million. The real question is, how do you get from drowning in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, no idea where to start when it comes to investing, to financially independent when you have assets that generate an income to cover your expenses? Where do we start? You start with the finance plan, which is my signature step-by-step plan to gain financial independence. I'm going to show you how an average person can turn things around step by step, and you can turn things around too. If you're new here is a recap of the finance plan. Step number 1 with the finance plan is to save 10%. If you're currently paying off debt, you do 5 towards a starter emergency fund, 5 towards retirement. Step number 2 is to pay all of your debt off within 36 months or less. I want you to have a deadline, and you will do this by paying at least $300 or more extra to your highest interest debt. Once your highest interest debt is paid, you'll take that old debt minimum plus that extra amount and go towards your next highest interest debt, so on and so forth. When you are debt free, then you will start investing all 10%, and then you will do step number 3, which is to build a 3 to 12 month emergency fund. You'll do this by a process I call turning a liability into an asset. You'll take what was once like an obligation, a burden, and then now that will be your asset. So before you know it, you'll have a emergency fund. You will save what you were paying towards debt. And then step number 4 with the finance plan is for life purchases like a home or car. In this case, we're going to go for early retirement. Your debt payment could be your key to gaining financial independence. I'm going to show you exactly how. You don't need a 6-figure income to gain financial independence and retire early. All you need is a financial education and a solid plan. Buckle up, things are about to get crazy. Get ready for your mind to be financially blown. And here we go. Let's take a look at the spreadsheets for average Joe. This is the finance plan. We're going to look at someone with a $60K income. So that would be $5,000 a month. Step number 1 with the finance plan is to save 10%. Let's assume that this is a $5,000 income and they are paying off debt. 5 would be going towards investments. That would be $250 towards retirement and then $250 towards a starter emergency fund. We're going to assume they are paying off $40,000 worth of debt. The monthly minimum payments are $896 and they're going to pay $300 extra. This debt calculator shows that by paying $300 extra, they will be completely debt-free within 36 months. During the 36 months, they will have also saved $9,000 for retirement and saved $9,000 for a starter emergency fund. Once they are debt-free, they'll start investing all 10% and they will turn a liability into an asset. They are going to save for a 6-month emergency fund, the monthly spending after taxes, after what they're saving, and then also after once they're debt-free is only $2,500, which is shockingly low, but life is way less expensive when you don't have debt. The total emergency fund would be $15,000. They started with nothing, but while they're paying off debt, they had over $9,000 saved. That means they have $5,525 left. And if they take that $1,196, their liability, and throw that in the bank, they can have a full emergency fund within 5 months of being debt-free. Step number 4 is for live purchases. This is to buy a car with cash, save for a down payment or a home, or in this case, we're going to look at early retirement. So this is what this looks like in the retirement calculator. So we are going to say the current spending in today's dollars, this is also including and assuming without debt payments, is $30,000. And again, this is a $60K income after taxes, after what you would save for retirement, and also after those debt payments. Let's say you're starting late, age 35, and be semi-retired, work optional with Coast-Fi at 48 and full retirement at age 65. This is assuming a modest income of the $60,000. This is assuming that they do have a 3% company match with a 401k plan or $1,800. With the finance plan to gain financial independence, they will be debt-free in 3 years. Within 5 months of being debt-free, they'll have a full emergency fund, and their debt payment will be their money machine. So what they're paying towards debt plus that extra amount, that $1,196, is going to be the game changer and really help them gain that financial independence. We are going to assume that they are going to earn 10% on their investments with expected inflation of 3% and an expected 3% pay increase. So the first 3 years, they're investing 5% of their salary while they're paying off debt. This is actually boosting up a little bit. So most people do get a pay raise. So this assumes that their 5% is keeping up with their pay raise. And this also shows their company match. Once they're debt free, they will then be investing 10%. And then once they have that emergency fund, they will turn that liability into an asset. So they'll have an extra $14,352 to put towards their retirement. This is where things get kind of crazy. So they kind of go hard for just a few years. At age 48, they stop investing. They have $454,203 in their retirement, and they're just going to coast. So come age 65, they will then have a nest egg of over $2 million, which is amazing. This is totally wild. Anybody with a financial education can gain financial independence. This shows how to turn things around. If this example exists, it can exist for you as well. You don't need to earn a ton to turn things around. You're not too late. You're not too far behind. You can do this. You just need to start, and you can start small, and then the debt that you despise is going to be your game changer with gaining financial independence. How much you need to save for retirement depends on you. It does not have to do with your age. It doesn't have to do with your income. It has to do with mostly what are you spending your money on right now. So if you can master the art of being incredibly social, having a great life, having fun, and not spending a ton, then you are on your way to retiring early. And you don't need to invest a ton. You can start very small. The finance plan is your step-by-step plan. When it comes to investing and retirement planning, the biggest thing that you need to do is simply just start a plan. Don't wait until you earn more. Don't wait until things calm down. Start now. Your future millionaire self will definitely thank you. I am really curious and would love to hear from you. How much are you saving for retirement? What are your goals? Are you doing 500,000, a million, 2 million, 5 million plus? Let me know in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify. Thank you so much, my yellow groupers, for listening. Every show has a dope name that they are calling their listeners. I'm calling you my yellow groupers. We have slow starts. We get off track. We get behind. We get knocked out. Life does not go as planned. The cards are stacked against us. The hands we are dealt are not ideal, but we don't ever, ever give up. That is where our grit is born. Our trials, our adversities, that is what makes us stronger. Did you like this episode? If so, make sure to like it and subscribe and share it with your friends who geek out over personal finance. If you are listening on Apple or Spotify, make sure and follow and leave me a review. If you've been meaning to get your finances in order, now is the time, and this is the best place to start. Here, you'll overcome analysis paralysis with the finance plan. This is the roadmap that you've been looking for to pay off debt and invest, even if you have no idea where to start and you're living paycheck to paycheck. Are you tired of figuring this money stuff out on your own? You don't need to spend a lifetime stressed about money. You can turn things around in a month, and I will show you exactly how. Best Money Class Ever, my live and virtual personal finance class, starts soon. Think of me as your personal finance consultant to help you get the results that you want. Want in? You can take the intro to class for free. Head on over to bestmoneyclassever.com or the link below to save your spot. You'll instantly get a free 20-page downloadable guide to start the finance plan. As always, remember, you only live once. Be smart with your money now. I will catch you later. Bye.